Let's kick it. Let's go. So, Freestyle Friday here today. I want to kick off today's conversation with the quote that I heard this morning and that I posted up on my Facebook page, which was like really compelling and caused me to pause today. And the
Mhm.
quote and the quote and the topic or the idea is this is that, you know, oftentimes we say that we have these habits, we have these tendencies, we have these patterns. Right. Someone was having a conversation with someone that said, I have these tendencies that, and the person, he said, stop. You don't have tendencies if you can articulate them. You don't have a habit or a pattern if you can articulate them. Habits, patterns, and tendencies are unconscious. Once they're conscious, they're choices. So if you say, I have a habit of being late, no, you don't. You're aware that you're late. You choose to be. I have a habit or I have a pattern of procrastination. No, you don't. You choose to be a procrastinator. Well, I have a habit of overeating or late night snacking. No, you don't. You choose to. And it just kicked me right in the guts whenever I saw it. I was like, oh shoot. How many things am I giving myself a pass on because I'm saying it's a habit or a pattern or programming or whatever? Because if you can articulate it, you're simply choosing it. And so it's not to say that it hasn't been ingrained and then it's easy to make that choice, but it's still a choice if you know it. Like if you're knowingly doing it, it's a choice. If you're aware of it, it's a choice. It may be an automatic choice, but you're choosing it. It's if you can articulate it. What are your thoughts? How does that resonate with you? Because I don't want to be the only one like in the bleh with it.
I read that on your
Bleh.
Facebook. I read that on your Facebook this morning, and I was like,
I don't want to talk
oh,
about
I don't
it.
really love that. And so when I read it, I knew, like, I was like, I feel like we're going to be talking about this some more today.
Uh-huh.
And so it has just stuck with me. Like, I was getting in the car, and I have when I get in the car, even like a pattern or a habit of things that I do. And I was like, I'm now seeing things everywhere. I'm like, these are things. I'm like, I'm choosing to do it this way, or choosing to do it that way. So it's been in my head, and now I'm seeing it more. So now you've made me more aware of things that I'm choosing that I wasn't maybe necessarily aware of, or it had just been this automatic thing before. But I'm like, okay, Matt's in my head this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's always in our head.
It's true.
Um, I think it really goes along with, honestly, when you think about it, like a lot of the techniques that I've learned in therapy with anxiety and different things, right? The whole key to changing your behaviors is to become aware of those behaviors. And so when we have issues with fear, anxiety, those kind of things, it's really digging deep and understanding why we do the things we do. And if we want to make the choice to stop doing those things or to change those behaviors, thoughts, whatever. So yeah, I think really, as you were saying that, the biggest thing that hit me was how I can let people and what they say offend me so easily or take it so personally. And how, like, I guess my habit that's now become an aware property, I don't know what you call it, is that I am really sensitive and I automatically go into that side of my ego that is like gets hurt easily and assumes the worst in or the people's intentions are worse than they are.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? This is a participatory call.
Dan's shaking his head. He's like not participating.
There was an unmute and then a mute. Come
I'll
on, Dan, you
I'll
got
just
it
I'll just sit here, guys. I share what I wanted to share. You guys, you guys get better when you share.
for sure.
I I feel like it's all been said. Like that, I like what he said. I just feel like it's all been said. I don't have anything to add really.
There's a saying in my circles that I hate, and yet I say it myself, and that is, "It is what it is." Like that simple excuse for people who do
Mhm.
stuff that you just put up with, and then everybody's like, "It is what it is." But is it really?
No, yeah, I agree with that because once you're aware, like you can choose, it doesn't have to be that. It does just because it is what it is. Do you want to make the choice to do something different or make it something different? But then what, so once you are aware of these habits or reactions or patterns, how do you, what are the things you do? Like, how do you choose to break that or change it?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody, but I really feel like that's where journaling comes in really helpful is
Mhm.
like if you're stuck on something, you're stuck on a feeling, stuck on not moving forward in something you've been thinking about for so long. It's amazing how just journaling on that and asking it's funny, right? We talk about this with our clients all the time to get curious, ask the right questions, but do you ask yourself the right questions and get curious with yourself on your behaviors? Because it is that's one technique that I've been taught that works really well is to journal and ask that question, well, why do you feel that way? And then you come up with an answer, but why do you feel that way? Or what makes you, like just continuing to inquire within yourself and journal that down sometimes can bring this aha. I would say most of the time it brings an aha at the end where you're like, oh my gosh, I thought this problem was because of this here, but it was actually because of something else over here.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I think these choices can also be good because you have to be
Mhm.
conscious of a new habit you want to form
Oh,
so that it does
100%.
become a habit and unconscious. But I'm still trying to wrap my brain around this because you, it almost gives a perspective of someone walking around like a zombie, like always doing unconsciously doing things because they're habitual. I get that. If you have your morning routine and you can whiz through it without thinking about it, I get where he's talking about the unconscious habits and
Uh-huh.
routines and stuff like that. But I also think that we can make better choices to form newer habits. So
Mhm.
what he was talking about from your conversation, you mentioned it was somebody has a tendency to do bad things, eat
Sure.
midnight snack or, drive 20 miles over the speed limit or whatever the case may be, you know,
So
but we
that
can also we have to be conscious of new habits that we want to form to reprogram
Mhm.
to the person that we want to become.
I think you're absolutely right, right? Like you're absolutely right. I I would venture to say, because here's just the way that the human brain is programmed is that like our habits or our tendencies are hardwired to actually free up brain space so we can be aware of the dangers and the threats around us, right? So here's the thing is I don't think about what hand I brush my teeth with. I don't think about like simple things throughout the day like driving a car anymore. Like I've learned how to drive a car and then that's become habit. And then but the thing is if you are a bad driver and you now like developed a tendency to not use a turn signal and then you keep getting honked at, like you can say well that's everybody else's problem as opposed to, and you're like well I just have a habit of not using a turn signal. Well the fact is now that you know that you don't use a turn signal and if you choose to put yourself in danger, that's a choice. You no longer have a habit of not using it. Now you choose to not be a conscientious driver, right?
Yeah.
And so if there's things in your life that are showing up in a negative way, right? If you're getting a negative result out of a certain types of behavior, and then someone points out like, well, maybe it's because you're doing this, and you're like, huh, I wonder if I do that, and then and then you catch yourself doing it. Now you just noticed that it's no longer a pattern. Now you notice a behavior. And you now have to choose, okay, do I want a different outcome in my life? And if so, then I have to now create a different behavior until it becomes a habit, until you don't have to think about that positive behavior. Right. And so it goes back and forth. Our brain is wired to make things easy. and efficient. So it's geared to take whatever you're doing most often and make it second nature to serve you. But then the question is does everything that you're doing serve you? And maybe it did when you were 8, and maybe it doesn't now. Like maybe lying to get your way on the playground as a kid got you your way when you were a kid, but maybe it doesn't serve you now. And now you catch yourself constantly exaggerating, using hyperbole and making excuses. And now as an adult, guess what? There's consequences for that. And so you can say, well, that's just my pattern. That's just my tendency. My tendency is to exaggerate a little bit. Oh, nope. Now it's a choice.
I think that's where it's so important to have friends, coaches, mentors who love you enough to tell you to call those things out to you and make you aware of those too. Not just be your friend who doesn't want to hurt your feelings or is afraid of you're getting angry with them. If they really care about you and want you to be better, they're going to call you out on some things too, or kindly tell you.
And I think having that friend that you can trust, like with your journaling, once you've written these things down and you're aware of these things, you can now change it. But saying, hey, Michelle, this is something that I'm working on. I want to change this habit. I just need to speak it out loud to somebody that can hold me accountable, can ask me questions on how it's going. That I think there's power also in letting somebody in as well, because you can't really hide it then, right?
Yeah. There's something magical about being authentic with other people and being able to have those relationships where you really trust people and can just open up to them and say, I'm struggling and I need your help figuring out, or need you to just be there by my side while I figure this out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have to be authentic with yourself.
Mhm.
I swear to God, you guys are reading the same books I am or something. There's a different variation of it. Because the book I'm listening to now, it's a Gary John Bishop book. You can look it up. I'm not going to say the title because all of his titles have the F-bomb in it. But and he actually talks about that. The problem is not other people. The problem is you. And you kind of sparked, when I write my daily rant, maybe I should have that conversation with myself. Because as someone I'm talking to, not, hey, me, it's, hey, Alan, you need to wake the F up and go do what you need to do or something like that. And just feel right out there up front and just have that conversation with yourself. I think it's so hard, at least it is for me, as my eyes get more open to this, to be that authentic with yourself and truthful with yourself, because the easiest person to lie to is yourself, I think.
For sure. And setting boundaries with people who don't allow you to be yourself.
That's a whole nother topic.
We can do a whole episode on that one.
Who did we lose? We lost somebody.
Mom,
We lost your mom.
they're driving West Texas, middle of nowhere. She probably lost signal.
Yeah. So like, oof. Here's the thing, right? Like, awareness is the first step to any kind of change, right? Just awareness. Brad, I'll mention a conversation I had with Brad briefly yesterday. Brad did a little story where he was panning across his office because he's the only one in the office right now this week because there's everyone was out doing things and out, and I caught a glimpse of his calendar and I was so impressed. I said, great job on the calendar, bro. It's all blocked out, looking nice. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, someone once told me, like, plan your day. Let's go. And then what did you mention?
When I say like, some days it's just a disaster. I try to stick with it, but some days I just can't.
Here's the thing. And this is the key part, right? Brad, now, after identifying and outlining what a great day should look like, any variation from that is now an awareness or a checkpoint where he goes, well, I didn't have a great day. Why? Well, because I didn't hit the things that I set for myself on my calendar, because my calendar is going to be a reflection or an extension of my goals. Without a time blocked calendar, could you have gone through that day and been like, that was an okay day?
No.
Well, maybe not you because you're a high
I mean-
performer, but a lot of people do. A lot of people, if they don't have their calendar blocked at the end of the day, they're like, well, I mean, I know I could have done better, but it was a pretty decent day. It was okay. I mean, I realtored. I like, you know, I was on a lot of, I did some webinars. I listened to some content. I read some forums. Yeah, man. Yeah, solid day. But without a blocked off calendar, without some type of direction or awareness of what ideally your day should look like, you may not have known like that day was off the rails. That day wasn't it. So now with this type of conversation around choices, behavior, tendencies, and habits, when you catch yourself doing something automatically that is not serving your goals, now it's a choice. One of the coolest things that like I'm working on creating. So I drive my daughter to school every morning now, to high school, and she's like 18 minutes away. And the first day or two, she was super into her feelings, and she was super overwhelmed and super whatever. So I literally just turned on some Jim Rohn, some mindset stuff, and I just let it play. And we drove and said nothing. But when we got there, she was completely like neutral, went out, had a great day. The next day, I put on Bedros Keuilian, and he was F-bombing all over the place, but it was like for the right reasons. And when we got home, we were talking, getting ready, and Anya's like to my wife, she's like, so mom, she's like, dad gets me ready for the day with a bunch of F-bombs so I could take on the world. And I'm like, and she goes, are you serious? And I was like, listen, it's no worse. It's no worse than what she's getting in high school. At least it's a good message. Right. And so this is our thing now. Every morning for the 18 minutes. So today we listened to some Goggins and some Jocko. There was a compilation of Goggins and Jocko, and they were talking about the same thing. And Goggins is like, listen, you don't like the way you look. You don't like what you weigh. You don't like what you're doing. Fix it. Stop bitching. Fix it. Stop eating shit. Smack the garbage out of your hand and get moving. That's it. Soft ass softies. That's what he said. He said, if you are even a mediocre goal setter and you can handle no or some coaching, you win, because the rest of this world and generation is so soft they can't handle any correction. You win. If you can take a no, if you can take a failure and move on and pick up and do again, you win. Because everybody wants their feelings and their triggers to be coddled. I got more for that, but it's not safe for work. NSFW. We'll have to put an NSFW on the video on the caption. That's what I think about that.
A trigger warning.
Listen,
We're all good.
Yeah. Listen, as soon as you wake up, you need to put your alarm, trigger warning, because the rest of the day is going to trigger you. You don't need a warning. You need a helmet, because life's hard. Get up, get after it. Let's go. So here's to identifying your choices.
I was going to have an easy
something.
Friday.
What's that?
So I was going to have an easy Friday, but
that's a choice.
Now I got all this to think about. Yep, you're
that's
right.
a choice. Well, what do they say, right? Like, do what's hard now so it's easy later. If you do what's easy today, everything else will be hard.
Okay, I'm dropping the link for our YouTube channel, all of our recordings. So for those of you that missed any in the last,
hey, if you haven't subscribed, liked, and hit the notifications button, leave us a review. That'd be fantastic.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell for notifications. Awesome, guys. Well, listen, any other thoughts, ahas, takeaways from today's call? We got 2 minutes to go. It's Spicy Friday. That's my favorite.
I think we should all have to think about what we became aware of. Like all of us just make a pact. We're going to be more aware of the things that we're doing over the next
Mhm.
3 days. And when we come back on Monday,
Mhm.
I think we should call out the things that we became
Yeah.
aware of that
Yeah.
we're
What's something that you caught yourself doing habitually that isn't probably serving you at the highest level that you're open to and willing to change and recondition?
and who doesn't show up on the call Monday.
Yeah, it'll be me. It'll be me having a monologue. It'll be like just a podcast episode for myself.
You may need to schedule it for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, or we need some extra time. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
I got time.
we'll see.
Yeah,
Hey,
my
if we
next
can
thing,
get
my next thing
interactive.
on Monday doesn't start till 10. Let's go. All right, kids. Have an amazing weekend. Crush. Forget your triggers. Don't worry about your feelings. Go do something amazing. Bye.
Bye.